Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Good afternoon for you guys. It is 9 a.m. here in Canada, where I am coming to you live from. My name is Tracey Zimmer. I have been with Senegence for 5 years, and I am a crown princess here in Canada. And I'm also the creator of Queen Bee Lip Sense, which you might see my giant Queen Bee Lip Sense in the background. If you're hopping on or you're catching the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Say hi, let me know where you're watching from, and let me know how long you have been with SheerSense, okay? So we're going to be talking today about mindset. So something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about mastering your mindset, which I think is a really, really important topic because you cannot have a positive life with a negative mindset. And everything starts with, and everything comes back to, and everything can be improved with mindset, okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey with Senegence. I started, like I said, 5 years ago. I started in March of 2017 here in Canada. And when I joined, I actually joined for the discount. If you are watching, did any of you guys join for the discount? Or did you join for the business? I know people join for a variety of reasons. I personally joined for the discount. My first color was Pink Champagne Lip Sense. Fell in love with it, wanted more, wanted a discount, and that was what actually led me to sign up. So 5 years ago, I want to paint a picture of who I was at 5 years ago. I was a somewhat new mom. I had a 6-month-old. My daughter is now 5. Her name is Bria, and that's where the B in Queen Bee actually comes from. So my daughter was 6 months old. And I had postpartum depression. I had postpartum anxiety. I was an introvert. I had no self-confidence. I had no self-esteem. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't recognize my body. I was going through all these changes. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to be noticed. I didn't want to stand out in a crowd. I didn't want a business opportunity. I definitely didn't want a business opportunity where all of this would be the star of the show. So I, 5 years ago, was not looking for a business at all, especially a network marketing business. So I joined solely for the discount. But what I found, and I think what a lot of us find when we started, was that even if we join for the discount, we kind of start to see all of the other perks, right? There's so many perks in this business. There's the friendships, there's the personal development, there's the opportunity to make money, there's the recognition, right? There's all these things that maybe are missing in otherwise in your day-to-day life. And that's what I started to notice. Even though I joined for the discount, I was still kind of watching what people were doing. I was seeing them, make friends, do things, meet up and get together in person, earn their car, earn trips, rank up, make money, quit their jobs, all these things. And over time, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that. So that's kind of where I shifted from I'm here for the discount to I can see the potential to I'm going to dive in. And that all happened in the span of about a month. I didn't do anything with my membership for a month. And then I decided that I was actually going to move into trying to make this into a business. Okay. And keeping in mind what I just told you when I started, right? No self-esteem, dealing with postpartum, new mom, didn't like how I looked, didn't want to talk to people, didn't want to be the center of attention. I had no social media following. I had no business knowledge, nothing. I was, kind of, when they say, is there the right time to start something? That would be the definition of not the right time to start something, right? Odds kind of against me. If you've seen the Hunger Games, the odds were not in my favor in this situation. But what I have always had, and one of the qualities that I do admire about myself, is my drive and determination. I knew that if I wanted to make this a business, even with all those things stacked against me, I would make it happen. And that's one thing you can, kind of think about is that there is success opportunities for every single person. Success does not discriminate. And being successful, it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's not about being the most beautiful person in the room. It's about being the most determined, the most willing to show up, the most willing to do the things, right? We're all given the same opportunity. And, just because someone, maybe has 60,000 followers on Instagram and then I show up with 0, if I'm willing to do the work and she's not, ultimately there's a good chance I'm going to be more successful than her. So hard work is going to trump everything every single time. So it really doesn't matter where you're starting from, what is against you, what odds are stacked against you. If you want it, you can make it happen. Whether you believe you can achieve something or you believe you can't, that is your reality. And that's a really exciting thing, but that's also a really scary thing, right? It's really exciting to know, like, okay, if I want something, I can do it, and I'm the only one standing in my own way. But then it's also kind of scary, right? Because we want this magic pill. We want to ask these people who are successful, like, what was that thing you did to be successful? There's no magic pill. They showed up day in and day out. They were consistent, and they did the things that they didn't want to do until they got to that, level of success. Okay. Okay. I always have notes because even though 5 years later, I have definitely grown and changed, I'm still an introvert, and I still, want to make sure that I don't go too far off path with my training. Okay. So what I want you to think about too is we can talk ourselves into and out of anything. Right? So you can think about 1,000,001 reasons why you can do something, but you can also think about 1,000,001 reasons why you can't. So again, that's where mindset really is key, because it's so much more than saying, okay, I can do this because I read the book, or I did the thing, or I went to the training, or my makeup looks really good today, right? You can do it regardless. You can do it. You just need to talk yourself into it. Okay. Believe that you can do it. Have that, really strong ironclad belief that, I want to do this and I will do it. Right. Because like I said, you can talk yourself into or out of anything, and you create your own reality. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions throughout this training, and these are things you can write down and, maybe go back to later, or you can, kind of think about as you're watching this. I want you to start by thinking about a goal. And this training, while it is geared towards your sheer sense business, it's also geared towards literally anything. So this could be, obviously we are people outside of our businesses. We have other goals for ourselves, whether that is to work on our physical health, our mental health. Maybe it's to, read more books or spend more time with your family, or go back to school for something, or get a promotion at your job, right? We have so many goals. So this can be related to both your sheer sense business and of course, any other goal you're working towards in your life. So I want you to think about a goal right now. Okay. I want you to think about a goal and what happens when you first think about this goal. Typically what happens is you get kind of excited, right? Let's say your goal, let's make it business related. Let's say your goal is to sell 100 tubes of lip sense in 3 months. Okay, that's your goal. I want to sell 100 tubes of lip sense in 3 months. The first thing that happens is you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be so great. I'm really excited about this. I know what I'm going to do to get there. I'm going to have people over to my house, and I'm going to demo lip sense. I'm going to do Facebook parties. I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to demonstrate a different color every day. I'm going to do this sale. I'm going to blah, 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 right? You start to get excited and creative and think of all the things you're going to do to help you hit this goal. Then what happens? Then that little seed of doubt starts to creep in, right? And it sprouts really fast. So that might be like, okay, well, if I'm going to sell these 100 tubes of lip sense, I'm going to have to tell people I'm doing this. Well, that's kind of scary, because what if I actually don't sell it? What if I have to sell these tubes of lip sense, have a Facebook party and ask someone to host a Facebook party? And I've never done that before. And what if they say no? Oh my gosh, what if they say no and then they laugh at me? What if I go for this goal and then I don't hit it and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, who does she think she is, right? And all of a sudden it's a snowball effect of, I was really excited about this goal 5 minutes ago, and now I've talked myself out of it. And maybe 10 minutes later, the goal is, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go for 50 tubes of lip sense. 100, that was ridiculous. 50, I can do 50. 50 is attainable. I'm going to, you know what? I don't need all that pressure on myself. I'm going to give myself the goal of 50. How many people have done that? I have done that. Why? What I want you to ask yourself is, why are you lowering the bar? Why are you taking a goal and then telling yourself, I'm going to lower that bar for myself? What happens when you decide that it's okay to set the bar low for yourself? What are you telling yourself? That you're telling yourself you can't achieve it. And you might in your mind be telling yourself, oh, you know what? I want to make it easier for you. I don't want to put that pressure on you. Let's do this because it's going to be more comfortable. We know how to sell 50. We don't know how to sell 100. So you know what? Now's not the time. Let's just stick with 50. What are you doing when you're setting that bar low? What are you telling yourself about yourself? You're telling yourself you can't do it. You're telling yourself you don't trust yourself to do it, that you don't want to take the risk, that you're not worth stepping out of your comfort zone. So I want you to think about what happens and why do we lower that bar? And typically it's because of fear. It's fear of failure, or it's fear of success, which is something maybe you haven't thought about. I actually have a fear of success. So I want to talk about fear of failure for a second. What are you afraid of happening if you don't achieve that goal? Are you afraid of what people will think? Are you afraid of letting yourself down or letting someone else down? Are you afraid of being humiliated? What does that look like for you? What fears come up when you think about not achieving that goal? Or what fears come up, if you're like me, when you think about achieving that goal, which might sound absolutely ridiculous. You're afraid of achieving your goal. What does that even mean? For me, when I think about fear of achieving my goal, I think about, okay, if I hit this 100 lip syncs, people are going to notice. People are going to look to me and say, what did she do? And how did she do that? They're going to look to me as an expert. Are they going to think that I'm an imposter? Are they going to look to me to see what I'm going to do next? And what if I can't replicate that? What if that was my peak and I can never sell 100 tubes of lip syncs again? Are they going to look at me and say, oh, she was a one-hit wonder? Or she really didn't know what she was doing. It was all luck, right? So like I said, we can talk ourselves into and out of any situation. And if you're like me and you're an overthinker, you're really good at making up scenarios that never happen. 90% of the things we worry about actually never happen. We're really good at doing things to keep ourselves exactly where we are. Because if we stay exactly where we are, guess what? We know what that's like. It's comfortable. We've been there before. We know that story. It's when we take that step towards that goal and we step out and over our comfort zone where we're now in the unknown that it's really scary and we don't have control over that. Right? We don't know what's on the other side of that. That's a whole new world. And it's much easier for us to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay here because this is what I know. And this is what, is going to keep me safe. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about, don't let your fear, like Janice was saying, I was just reading her comments. And usually I try to swipe the comments away because I get super distracted, but don't let the fear control you. Because fear doesn't have to be a bad thing. Fear is natural. It's natural to be afraid of things you've never done before, but don't let that fear take over. Don't let that fear stop you. Can you use that fear to serve you rather than keeping you stuck? Okay. Can you use that fear to fuel you to overcome? Can you use that fear to help you build that bridge? Because what's going to happen is you're going to have your goal, right? And your goal is to sell 100 tubes of lip syncs. You're going to have the completion of your goal. And then all you need is that bridge. You need that bridge to get you from the fear to the completion. So can you use that fear to fuel you? And all it's going to take is for you to commit and make that first step. Because once you take that first step, it's going to get a lot easier. And all it is going to be you taking one little step every single day. Okay. And that bridge is really important because what's going to happen on that bridge is actually going to be what shapes you. And I want to tell an example for me. A couple of years ago, I was thinking about going for the rank of Crown Princess, which is $1 million team, $1 million in 1 year for your team, and then 5 qualified distributors on 5 lines, 2 months in a row. Okay. And obviously, when I kind of started getting into the business in my first year, I saw all these people hitting Crown Princess and they're getting their crowns and they're getting their beautiful rings and they're getting recognized and it's this big deal. And that was always my goal. But again, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, success doesn't happen overnight. And that's one thing I'm really good at is being very realistic that yes, this can be my goal. Crown Princess is going to be my goal. But I'm not going to hit it in my first year or my second year or my third year. I'm going to hit it when I'm ready. So I made a decision a couple of years ago that my team was at a place where it could be attainable for us as a team to work towards the goal of Crown Princess. And I knew that I had to get my mindset ready, prepared, in the right place to be able to present this to my team and then lead this through. It ended up being an 8-month journey for us, lead them through the next 8 months to that goal. So it started with the inner work on myself. And when I kind of looked at the numbers, I was realistic. I got myself into a space where I was kind of, in like fight mode, right? I was like ready to go, like you're training for the Olympics or something. And I got on a live video and I told my team, I'm like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for this as a team together. And that moment was absolutely horrifying because in that moment, I spoke it out loud. And it wasn't just my goal now. Now I had 400 people who heard me say, this is what we're going to do. And that was really, really scary to me because now I felt like if we don't hit this, I'm letting myself down. I'm letting them down. Now I'm going to be embarrassed in front of these 400 people. Also, I had fellow Senegence distributors who I had told my goal to, who were also going for Crown Princess. I mean, everyone kind of knew that our team was going for it. So if we didn't hit it, that was going to be really uncomfortable, especially at our yearly seminar ceremony when girls were going up and getting their crowns. And then I would be, kind of sitting in the audience, not up there. So this was one of the biggest, scariest Senegence related goals that I had gone through in my career thus far. And obviously, spoiler alert, we ended up hitting it. But what was very interesting to me was I had pictured this moment in my head for years of what it was going to be like when we hit it. And we were Crown Princess Dominion. And I remember the day that the back office updated. And the back office updated and my rank went from Princess to Crown Princess. And to be honest, it wasn't all that exciting. We hit it and I was super obviously excited and proud. And I felt all those feelings. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, okay, we did it. Because we had been working towards it and talking about it every single day for 8 months. And what happened on that bridge was so much more impactful and powerful than the day we actually hit it. And that's what you're going to find sometimes with your goals. When you hit them, you're like, okay, I did it. That's awesome. But it's those moments that shape your experience. And I have so many vivid, impactful memories of that 8-month period where we were doing the work and we would have these, these victory moments and, people, it was kind of a snowball effect where people on the team were ranking up and people were hitting their own personal goals. And, we'd close out a line and we'd be like, oh my gosh, we got 5 on this line. This is so exciting. Or we hit our sales goal for the month. And there'd be so many really, really powerful moments, good and bad, along the way that really, really shaped me as a person, that shaped our team as a whole, that was so much bigger than the end goal. And I think that was a very powerful lesson for me where I was like, okay, you know what? This has been the goal and the vision and the end, the end game for the last 8 months. And when we hit it, the feeling of us hitting it was not as powerful as what had happened that past 8 months. And that was a really, really pivotal moment that taught me that it's so much more about that journey than it is about the final destination. And that should give you peace to know that, you know what, if you set a goal and you don't hit it, either way, your life is going to be impacted. You're going to grow as a person. You're going to learn things. You're going to touch other people. And that's so much more valuable than whatever the outcome of the goal is. So know that, you know what, I'm stepping into this journey and this is going to be really, really valuable in shaping me as a person. And whether I hit that end goal or not, honestly, really doesn't matter because that goal might change along the way, right? Your goals might change along the way. Your vision might change along the way. So don't get so hung up on, will I hit the goal or not? Because you know what? The time's going to pass anyway. And you could sit here today and say, you know what? I'm too scared to take that first step. But what if you take the first step and you fail, but you get 3/4 of the way? You're going to be so much more advanced in, your business or whatever you're working towards, your physical health, your mental health, whatever that goal is, you're going to be so much more advanced because you took that chance and you took those steps versus if you just sat and did absolutely nothing, right? And that kind of ties into my next question that I want you to think about. What is your inaction costing you? What is it costing you to stay where you are right now? Because we think we're helping ourselves, right? We think we're protecting ourselves by saying, you know what? You don't have to do that right now. That's really hard. And I want you to just feel comfortable and safe and not have to step out in, anything that's going to be scary. I'm protecting you. I'm looking out for you by keeping you exactly where you are. No, that inaction is costing you. And I want you to think about, what is it costing me to stay stuck where I am right now? Because we have this myth that we have to wait for the perfect time to start something, right? Who's fallen into that myth of perfection? I have to wait until this happens. I can't start that until my child goes back to school and I have more time. I can't start that until I lose 10 pounds. I can't start that until I've watched all these training videos. That is a myth. And the reason why I told you all those things about myself at the beginning of this presentation, and I told you who I was and what qualities I had when I signed up for Senegence, was because of this, the myth of perfection. Do you think it was the perfect time for me to start a Senegence business with a newborn, introverted, no self-confidence, no social media following, no business knowledge, postpartum depression, doesn't want to talk to people, worried about what people think, overthinker, anxiety? Does that sound like the ideal time to start a business? No. And I'm sitting here right now with the #1 team in Canada and the top distributor in Canada. Not saying that to speak highly of myself, but saying that it really does not matter when you start something. Because if you want it, you will do it. I promise you, you'll do it. Whether it takes you 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you'll do it. If you believe in yourself and you believe that you can do it, and we all have the tools to be successful, you'll do it. So don't put it off. Don't put it off until fill in the blank with whatever you've been telling yourself you need to put it off till, because that's going to make it easier. Because guess what? If you're putting it off until your kids go back to school, your kids are going to go back to school, and then you're going to think of another reason why you can't do it. Oh, well, now it's busy, so I'm going to wait until Christmas time. Oh, Christmas time is too busy. It's too cold. I'm going to wait till the weather's warmer, right? You're always going to have a reason why you can't do something. So you just have to make that decision that you're going to start despite all the things you think are holding you back, which actually might not even be what's holding you back. They might be your superpower. They can be a part of your story and a part of your journey. And you're going to be able to inspire other people by talking about the things that maybe, where the odds were against you, and use that, to help inspire and motivate others and to motivate yourself. So what I want you to do is, this is an exercise I want you to do in your free time. I want you to think about getting a piece of paper. Well, I don't want you to think about it. I want you to actually do it. I want you to get a piece of paper, divide the paper in half, and then I want you to think about. So you're going to put on one side of the paper, you, today, July 27th, I think is the date, 2022. Okay. Then on the other side of the paper, you're going to write July 27th, 2023. Okay. And the one for today, for right now, I want you to write down, if you were to stay, not to say that you aren't beautiful and perfect the way you are right now, you are. But if you were to stay exactly as you are right now, right? Knowing in your mind that you have goals and things you want to achieve for yourself, for your family, for your business. But if you stayed exactly where you are right now in your comfort zone, what would your life look like? What qualities would your life have? And those can be good and bad. I want you to write them all out. Then I want you to think about you a year from now. If tomorrow you woke up and said, you know what, for the next year, I'm going to go for all of my goals. And I mean, that's a lot. You don't have to go for all your goals. But just think, in an ideal world, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were to go for all the things you ever wanted, right? July 27th, 2023, on that side of the paper, I want you to write down what your life would look like if for the last year you had been working towards all the things you wanted. And once you've got both sides, I want you to look at it and say, okay, would I be satisfied, or will I be satisfied if I stay exactly as I am right now? When I look at that list of qualities of how my life will be if I just stay exactly how I am right now, am I okay with that? When you look at the list of how your life could be a year from now, if you have taken, little sustainable steps towards all your goals, when you look at that list, do you get butterflies? Do you get excited? Does it light your soul on fire? Do you think, oh my gosh, I could be living the life of my dreams? Which one appeals to you more? And you might look at the list for, if you stay exactly as you are right now, and you might look at that and be like, dang, I can't live like that for the rest of my life. And that's going to be your fuel to say, okay, if I don't like that, and I'm really attracted to the one on the other side, what do I need to do? You have to take that first step. Okay. So I want you to do that. And the last thing I want you to think about is, well, I want to talk about the cost of inaction real quick in another example. And that's a big example for me. This is definitely one of probably the other most impactful experiences I've had in my business is the decision I made to quit my job a couple years ago. So I was a executive assistant in a corporate setting. I had a very demanding job, which I enjoyed. But at the same time, as I was doing my corporate job, my Sun Engines business was really, really taking off. And I was in a position where it made sense for me to leave my job if, I felt so inclined. And ultimately, I made that decision to leave my job. And I remember leading up to it, I've always been the person that, I don't take the road less traveled. I take the straight and narrow. I do exactly what society says you're supposed to do, right? I got married, got a house, had a child, got a good job, went to school, all the things. So the thought of quitting my job to go do videos on my phone with makeup and do this all day long didn't seem logical to me. So I had a really hard time with making that decision to say, okay, you know what? I could live the life of my dreams and have that flexible schedule and have that, really great income and be creative and do something I'm passionate about. But I have to make that decision to leave this job. And ultimately I did. And I will never forget the day I, turned my computer off for the last time. I packed up my things and I said bye to my coworkers. I got out to my car and I turned my car on, and I was actually driving. I had a Senna car. I still have my Senna car, but I had a Senna car at the time. So I got into my blue car, my Sun Engines logo on the bumper. I turned my car on. I put the radio on. I drove out of the parking lot. I turned left onto this country road because my office was in the country. I'm on this country road and there's all these trees, and it was almost like the end of a movie, right? Where the person's kind of driving into the sunset and you think they'd be super happy and they're like, oh, this is the start of my next chapter. No. I bawled my eyes out the entire way home. And I was like, you've just made the biggest mistake of your life. This was so selfish. This was so ridiculous. You are never going to be successful. This was your safety net. This is a place where you could go to and you had a guaranteed salary, and your job, while it was demanding, it wasn't that hard and you were really good at it. And why did you do this? And I remember beating myself up the whole way home thinking, I've just made the biggest mistake of my life, and I'm going to, this was very selfish and it's going to ruin my family, and what have I done, and all of these negative things. And then this past February, I was actually in California with Sun Engines at Joni's house, at Joni's mansion in the Hollywood Hills or wherever it was. And I'm standing in her backyard looking out over at Los Angeles at all these beautiful homes, and there's music playing, and I have a cocktail in my hand. And I stood there for a moment and I was like, you never would have got to experience this had you stayed in that job. Had I stayed in that job today, I would have been stressed. I would have been burnt out. I would have not been doing something that was, good for my soul. I would have constantly been trying to juggle time with my family and time with my job, and, being at the mercy of, my boss's schedule and my workplace's needs, and, kind of capped at a salary. And, I think about COVID and how, would I have had a job? What would that have looked like? Would I have been putting my safety in danger? And I think about all the things that happened, from the day I quit my job to now, and the opportunities I've had, and the people I've got to meet, and the business I've got to build, and the trips I've got to go on. And it was in that moment that I was like, that inaction, if I had stayed in that job, would have cost me everything. It really, truly, I would have done myself such a disservice for the life that I could have lived, and the person that I became after I quit my job, and the things that I've learned and the opportunities I've had. And your example doesn't have to be that big. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to go quit my job. But just think about, staying in the things that are safe. Well, that's easier. Down the road, it's actually not. Because I think about, and I get that kind of that feeling in my stomach of that pit in my stomach of oh my gosh, had I never done that, my life would look so different, and it would have been lacking in so many ways. Okay. So I want you to think about this, that your success, lastly, I want to leave you with this. It's the sum of small actions. Okay. And that I am telling you that as a positive. I know in our society, we want to wake up and say, okay, I've made the decision to run towards my goal. why haven't I achieved it yet? It's been 5 minutes, right? That's like me when I'm like, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to lose 5 pounds. I don't know. I know you guys don't use pounds there, but, and then it's been like one meal I ate like vegetables and I'm like, why am I not skinny yet? Right? We want everything so instantly, but that's not how life works. And that should be exciting to you, because what that means is that when you decide and you commit, guess what? You're doing this one small thing every single day. One step every single day towards what you want. Okay? Super simple. We can all wake up and do one small thing, because success is the sum of little actions. It's never that one big thing. It's never that one big thing. And if it is that one big thing, it's fleeting. I always say nothing worth having comes easy. And if it comes easy, it's not worth having. Right? You think about the lottery. I always use the example of the lottery. I'm so anti-lottery. I've never played the lottery, but people who win the lottery, statistically, most of them end up bankrupt after they win the lottery, because they never had that much money at one time. They don't know what to do with it. It was free. They didn't have to work for it. They had people coming out of the woodwork asking for their cut of the money. Anything that happens like this, without you having to put your skin in the game, is usually fleeting and it's not worth having. So I want you to think about what, and Louise is saying here, a book called The One Thing. I feel like I need that book, because I will preach every single day. One step every single day. And I want you to think about, you don't have to see the top of that staircase to take that first step. Okay. You have to have that faith, because when I quit my job, I didn't know that at the top of that staircase, I would be in California at Joni's house, with my $2 million team, doing all the things that I had done, with all the opportunities that I had done. I never could have seen the top of that staircase. When I quit my job, like I told you, I drove out of that parking lot crying my eyes out. You don't need to see that staircase. You don't have to see the top of the staircase. You just have to see that next step. And if you focus on that next step every single day, when you wake up, what am I doing to climb the step today? That's it. You will get there. Whether it takes you a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, it does not matter. You will get there. Momentum is momentum. It does not matter the pace that you're going, okay? Forward is forward. So lastly, what I want to leave you with is I want you to think about the goals that you have for yourself. And then I want you to make lists. I want you to list out 10 simple things that you can do to help you reach that goal, right? So if your goal, let's say, for example, your goal is to start fueling your body with healthier alternatives. Okay, let's just use that as an example. You're going to write down 10 different things you can do. One, you can wake up and start your day with a glass of water. Okay, you can choose to, instead of having fish and chips for lunch, that was very stereotypical, wasn't it? I know in Canada, they're like, do you eat maple syrup all day? And now I'm doing that to you with the fish and chips. Instead of having fish and chips for lunch, you're going to have a salad with chicken on it, right? You're going to walk around the block once. And do you see these things I'm telling you to do? I'm not telling you you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to make every single meal healthy and you're going to walk for 45 minutes every day. No, because if you swap out one meal a day for something healthy or healthier, that's a change. And you're going to notice over time that that's going to affect you positively. If you walked 0 steps and now you walk 1,000 steps every day, that's going to affect you positively. It doesn't have to be these big grandiose things. So can you take your goals? If your goal is to sell 100 tubes of lip sense, what are some things you can do? Right? And then when you wake up in the morning, instead of feeling overwhelmed and afraid and worried, you're going to look at your list of 10 things and you're going to pick one. Right? I want to sell 100 tubes of lip sense. One thing I can do is start doing more live videos demoing lip sense, right? That's one thing on your list. I can start asking my customers if they'll host a party so I can show their friends lip sense. I'm going to bring my lip sense to work and show my coworkers. I'm going to wear my stripes on my hand so I can wow people. And when you get up in the morning and you know your goal is to sell 100 tubes of lip sense, you're going to look at your list and you're going to say, okay, you know what? Today I feel like I can wear my stripes. That's something I feel like I can do today, and I'm going to be good with that. And you're going to do that. Or maybe you're going to wake up and be like, you know what? I'm going to go ask 10 people to host a party. I'm going to wear my stripes and I'm going to do a live video, right? Every single day, you're not going to show up with the same energy, and that's fine, but you're going to show up regardless. Okay. So that is pretty much it. I hope that was, you got something from that. I hope you feel empowered to know that you literally can do every single thing you want to achieve. You can do it just as you are right now. Nothing about you needs to change. You don't have to have any more knowledge. You don't have to be, an expert in makeup. You don't have to be, you know, you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have anything. Literally how you woke up today. I mean, I know it's the afternoon there, but how you woke up this morning is perfect as it is. So it's up to you to decide, are you going to take that next step? So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for having me a second time to train. I will train anytime. You guys are awesome. I love being a part of this community and being able to share my experiences. So go out there, know that you have the power to create the life of your dreams. And know that I am here cheering for you. If you have any questions or you want to chat through anything, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm here to support you guys, and I am cheering you on from all the way over here in Canada. Bye guys. Have a great day.